everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guest collaborator and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And this might be an interesting recommendation, but joining me is our fearless leader of the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network, Mike Hilty.
I just wanted to pick a Christmas movie that I hadn't seen before. That was my goal. And
So,
what did I
so
do?
Mike,
What
so
did I do, Shane? What did I do?
well, Mike picked Tokyo Godfathers, and then I doubled down and was like, "Well, if you're gonna pick a Satoshi Kon film, so am I." And I picked Perfect Blue, which is not a Christmas film, but is effed up as hell. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But we are going to start with Tokyo Godfathers from 2003. On Christmas Eve, three homeless people living on the streets of Tokyo discover a newborn baby among the trash, and set out to find its parents. And like I mentioned, this is from director Satoshi Kon, who unfortunately died at 46 years old in 2010, but did leave a legacy of four incredible anime of Tokyo Godfather's Millennium Actress Paprika and Perfect Blue. So, Mike, what were your general thoughts on Tokyo Godfathers?
All right, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't watch anime. It's just not
Okay.
my jam. So, this is something that I am challenging myself on a little bit more to expand my horizons and to try something new.
Mm.
And between this and some of the anime TV shows that I've decided to dip my toes in this year, I'm not 100% there, but I'm getting there. And
Was
like
one
I,
of them the Uzumaki series on Max? Because that's a hard
oh,
one. That's a
that's
hard one.
I got a couple episodes in and I think I just decided that I'm not in the headspace to do this right
And there's
now.
only four episodes too, which is crazy.
But this I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it.
Mm,
And I think what I liked about this the most is our three main characters and the dynamic that they have with one another. So
mm,
you've got eh, you've got Jin, Hana, and Miyuki, who they all come from like wildly different backgrounds.
mhm,
And one thing that I appreciated from this, and I know it wasn't like really the point of it,
mhm,
but like talking about how all three of these individuals became homeless. I did
mhm.
appreciate those backstories and just how like, hey man, sometimes it's just sometimes it's circumstance, sometimes it's just random, and sometimes it's a choice. And
Yeah.
that's that's something that I appreciated about this. And I also really liked that Tokyo just feels like such a dynamic character in this
Mhm,
because there's so many different areas in Tokyo that are explored, and it's weird, but also
mhm.
it's really good. And that baby's really cute as well.
Cute baby.
Hmm.
So, this film is unofficially a remake
Hmm.
of a John Ford film
Hey, there you go.
called Three Godfathers. And it's John Wayne. And I think it's I think it's Harry Carey Jr. And then one of the Mexican actors that predominantly was in a few John Ford films around that specific time. Uh, and it's that idea of like these three men with the like wander upon a baby and are put in a situation where like they don't know what the hell they're doing and
Hmm.
trying to take care of the child. And obviously that is the crux of this movie. You have trans woman, which is a very interesting added layer to it.
Mhm.
Each of these characters have interesting backstories and character dynamics, and they confront their pasts in different ways. And it's able to balance all those things in like an this is an hour and 32-minute movie. So like this isn't a long film. Some of the like character designs are a little rough around the edges.
Mhm.
Specifically, this isn't afraid to show that like not everybody's like this gorgeous looking like
No, no.
somebody's making like uh anime porn
Right.
where everybody's like super drop dead gorgeous everything. No, it's like this feels like a gritty authentic kind of exploration of people who are in today's terms unhoused and are experiencing being stuck in the city with a child. And it also has some of those like magical Christmas elements. Like
Mhm.
the climax of the film and like which is extremely tense and
Mhm.
involves heights,
Oh
which
yeah.
which and how that all happens feels like Deus Ex Wind.
Hmm.
Um, but it fits this kind of like magical idea of like a Christmas movie. And I
Hmm.
think that's really sweet. I like the tone of this. This is Satoshi Kon's like most accessible movie for sure. Because like Paprika is what most people say is the basis for Inception, and that
Okay.
Christopher Nolan kind of just ripped off Paprika.
Sure.
Um,
Okay.
and we'll talk about Perfect Blue in a minute. But this is it has a good heart to it. It has this adventurous kind of feel, going through the city and stuff like that. And I appreciate that you brought up like Tokyo does feel very real and
Mhm.
authentic and built out, and you see all these different kinds of aspects
Well, and
of
then
society.
you see all kinds of different people throughout
Yes.
Tokyo as well. The this feels a lot like a road trip movie in a way,
Mhm.
even though we're just kind of walking through Tokyo, or occasionally when they get like rides and even rides in cars or like train rides and things like that. It's really interesting the amount of different people that you meet throughout Tokyo. So you
Mhm.
meet someone who's a Yakuza boss. You meet someone
Yep.
who's an assassin, like a Spanish assassin in the middle of Tokyo. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do that. We have a we have an encounter with like an elderly unhoused individual who's on the brink of death, and you kind of when they get to the club and they meet some of Hana's other like former coworkers. Um, just the amount of characters that they kind of bring into this. Um, and then at the very core of this, you have this baby, and then you
Mhm.
have the story of how this baby becomes abandoned.
Yep.
And it's once you learn that aspect as well, it's pretty heartbreaking
Mhm.
about everything that happens with this. And maybe it's just my parent talk coming
Mhm.
out, but I really this one had a big effect on me. Um, and just the way that it happens with the baby's mom and why she wanted to have a baby in the first place. God, it was crushing, especially like because she really wanted a baby, but her husband didn't. So, um, yeah, when you learn that I think that was the one that kind of just broke my heart the most was that this baby hasn't done anything wrong, and like that's something that you just kind of it's something that's harped upon throughout the course of this whole show, like or a movie. Like, who abandons a baby during Christmas? That's like the worst thing that you could do. The only thing that would be worse than that, maybe like abandoning a puppy as well. Like, that's pretty bad too. But um and then like in addition to the characters, I think one thing that I did really like about this as well is how well the stories kind of weave together as well
Mhm.
because this is this is at times a pretty because it's a pretty straightforward movie
Yeah.
in a way that okay, our main plot is these three individuals find the baby and then it's a quest to confront the mother in a way
Yep.
or return the
Mhm.
baby. But what makes it more complicated is just how when they split up, how they find their way back to one another and how
Mhm.
the story just interweaves with one another. It's actually kind of complicated in some ways, but it's accessible so that it's not so confusing for
Mhm.
like dummies like me that like I don't really watch a whole lot of anime, so I needed something that wasn't too complicated, especially since the on Amazon, like you can't watch this with an English dub. You have to watch it in Japanese and you have to watch it with subtitles because otherwise you're just kind of inferring what's
Yeah.
happening from there. Um, so like sitting down and actually like watching this and like paying attention to, how intricate the plot points are and just how everything kind of just weaves together really well
Yeah.
was really remarkable for me.
It's a very layered film in terms of each of these three main characters, and then this baby have a lot of baggage in
Mm,
terms of their journey to get to this point. And uncovering and pulling back those layers of it is very emotional. This is by far the most emotionally resonant of Satoshi Kon's films because the other ones are really going to for like a very specific kind of like genre feel. This is meant to be an emotional journey,
mhm,
and it's about these three people coming together for a greater good, which is this child, and putting aside their differences, putting their past behind them, and being able to accomplish something good. And I
mhm,
think at the heart of it, that's what really makes this story so impactful is at the end of the day, it's about this child
mhm,
and trying to get this child back to their mother and trying to get them home because like these three people know what it's like to be without a home.
mhm.
And like obviously they don't want this child to be born into this. It's bad enough that like some of them are in this situation, and it's an interesting journey in terms of that. But there is a richness to this story and all these characters. It's a fitting mosaic of Tokyo and its people and how
Mhm.
this all comes together in, you know, a wonderful holiday kind of story. And
And
well before I will actually right around the same time as like Love Actually and stuff like that. This is an interesting ensemble of characters too.
mhm. I think just the whole crux of this being a Christmas movie as well. Like this isn't like, oh, this happens to take place during, you know, adjacent to Christmas or anything like that. They they talk a lot about the significance of it being Christmas right
Yeah.
now and how this is both heartbreaking and also like no kid should spend this time this time alone. And I think the family dynamic that these four, if you include the baby,
Mhm.
kind of have with one another is really actually quite lovely and quite beautiful, and how they've been together for a long time, and then just adding this added dynamic of this baby, because
Mhm.
also it presents a lot of other challenges for them because it's snowing, it's cold. They don't have the resources to take care of this baby, so there's an added layer of danger there because they need to take care of this baby because and conventional wisdom would say, "Hey, logical thing to do, just turn the baby into the police." That that's probably what they should have done, but otherwise we wouldn't have gotten a movie then. And
Well, and maybe there's a hesitance in terms of like where they're at
yeah, yeah, for sure.
and like potentially dealing with the police. Because like it's interesting the parallels with this and Three Godfathers because they find the baby in the desert.
Mm,
And like they can't just leave this baby here. The mother dies tragically, and
oh,
that's kind of what opens up the door for them to like they wander upon um this wagon
mhm,
and the mother's dying winds up dying and the three of them are stuck with this baby and also they're all outlaws.
mhm,
They're wanted, so they have like a posse chasing after them and stuff like that. So it's an interesting like parallel in terms of like they are they're not exactly people that oh we'll just go to the police. um
mhm,
I don't know if that's a great idea in terms of like their situation. And this is a fascinating remake. And because like what's strange is this gives no credit because it says original story by Satoshi Kon on like IMDb and stuff like that. I'm like, this is literally just Three Godfathers.
mhm.
And even like the play on the, I guess it's enough different, which it's not.
No,
In terms of
I
like
can
the
imagine.
setup, like this is how you do a remake though.
Mhm,
You could change the setting and the context and still hit it like a really good heart and soul of a film
mhm.
and do it fresh and different. And yes, this is how you do a remake, even if they don't want to acknowledge this is a remake, I guess.
Right, right.
But yeah. Mike, do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to add about Tokyo Godfathers?
Um, I love the way that this ended. Just
Mhm.
how um because the resolution to this was not quite what I was expecting it to be, and that's okay. And but it made sense for this particular group of people. So I did really like that. And just again, I just can't sing enough the praises of just the dynamic between
Mhm.
like our three main characters. Um, not the most sensitive when it comes to like language and representation for Hana as a character at
Mhm.
times. But also conversely on the flip side,
Realistic.
there were it's very much of the time,
Yep.
unfortunately. And um so got to give it a little bit of grace, I guess, for that. Um but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this. I don't think that this is gonna make my usual Christmas lineup, but it will be one occasionally that, if I'm in the mood to have my heartstrings tugged, I will probably throw this on.
It'll certainly do that. And now for something completely different.
Completely different.
And
Boy. Oh.
we have 1997's Perfect Blue. A pop star gives up her career to become an actress, but she slowly goes insane when she starts being stalked by an obsessive fan and what seems to be a ghost of her past. This is only like 81 minutes, and they pack a lot into this film.
Oh, yeah. They packed a whole lot in this.
Mike, what are your general thoughts on Perfect Blue?
God, this movie was terrifying. Just absolutely terrifying for
Yep.
me. So there's a couple layers to this. Is that one, just the whole plight when it comes to fame and just how risky it truly can be
Yep.
for individuals, particularly women as well.
Hmm.
Oh, um, that the stalker, oh, he just creepy AF, and
Yes.
they drew him perfectly.
Perfectly.
Um, so there's that. But I think the other thing that sticks out to me with this is, boy, you do not know who to trust in this. And when you finally figure out what's actually going on, it's like, boy, this is not who I thought this was going to be, but it makes perfect sense. And you have no idea what's going on in other people's heads. And the people that you let into your lives sometimes, God, this I'm so goddamn uncomfortable during this at a lot of parts. Uh, that doesn't change the fact that I thought this movie was brilliant in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. But I have a feeling that this is going to be a one and done for me, unless, somebody makes me watch it
For
for
another
a club.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's a hard movie for sure.
Hmm.
Like this is not like, oh, this is a fun thing I could pop in and just enjoy. This movie's not necessarily something that you would like enjoy.
No.
It is an experience. It is a visceral experience, and it will just like hit you at the core in terms of what it's trying to do. It has some Selena vibes in terms
Yeah.
of which
Uh,
how this shakes
around
out is,
around the time. Yeah.
well, yeah, that's very fresh too. And this film is lean, it is artful. This is a gorgeous looking film in terms of like how it's drawn, how it's framed, everything. It's haunting in terms of its visuals. Because,
Mhm.
like, yes, very specifically, like, there's a lot of shots in this that are striking and impactful, but like that stalker guy is so eerie and creepy. But then there's a way that they visualize her delusion.
Yeah.
And there's a sequence where she's being chased. And at times we see what she's seeing, but then there's quick glimpses at what's really going on.
Mhm.
How this deals with mental illness and just the pressures and the stress that could what they could do to a person.
Mhm.
What this says about fandom.
Oh God, the whole angle with fandom, and I can imagine that for not like a lot of people, but
Mhm.
like the dawn of the internet age, when it's bad enough that you got to deal with the stalker, now you got to deal with crap online too. Oh, there's just yeah, it's creepy. And then also just so this main character, um Mima, right? Or yeah,
Mhm.
that's how it's pronounced. So she's in a J-pop group. She
Yep.
wants to kind of expand her horizons a little bit and get into acting. And for somebody who wants to get into acting, um, I found it, it makes sense to start off slow, like drama series where she's just like a background character, has a couple lines. But then what they like do to her after that, it's like, oh, we want to make you the focus of the second part, but you got to film like a really traumatic rape scene. It's like, dear
That
Lord.
is one of the hardest scenes to watch in like film,
Yeah.
period, because it is graphic, it is intense, and obviously to our context, we know it's not real. but it feels real. And
Definitely feels like it. Yeah.
how it's portrayed on screen is that it feels real,
Mhm.
and it's terrifying
Yeah.
to watch. It is so uncomfortable and unnerving. There's so many aspects of this film that are uncomfortable and unnerving. And it's so interesting because, like, thinking about the Selena parallels, like, obviously, the whole, like, you got to think about who you let into your life
Mhm.
and let be that close to you. But also, who played Selena? Jennifer
Jennifer
Lopez.
Lopez.
What was Jennifer Lopez doing? Trying to break into acting.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting parallels to this whole entire story, and the timing too, because like this being in like the mid to late 90s
Mhm.
and drawing upon real life stuff. And that's what makes it really uncomfortable, is that this stuff happens. And I think, one, hopefully you are not one of those people that does not respect boundaries, does not respect the choices of people. Like, it would be like me freaking out and stalking like John Cena for wanting to become an actor.
Right.
Instead of, it's
Right.
like, you betrayed pro wrestling. Or The Rock
Mhm.
before him, or Dave Batista, or like anybody who it's like you have this uncomfortable connection to, and then
Mhm.
they try to make a decision for their own
Mhm.
life, and you like, and then Michael Jordan meme. But I took that personally, and
Right.
it's an unhealthy connection that we have with people where we think that we are familiar enough with these people to have this connection and feel like we have a say in their lives, when it's like, you've never met them,
No.
you don't
No.
know them, you enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating exploration of this, and it's eerie, it's mysterious, it's at times perplexing, and what's the word I'm looking for? It's like unnatural and fluid in terms
Mhm.
of like what's really going on at certain moments.
Right. Right. The whole aspect of this story where you don't know what's real and what's going on in somebody's head.
Mm,
It's true. Like when you finally get to a point where it's like, I'm not sure I can trust myself, that I feel is the truly terrifying part of this movie, and how to see where she started, just being in this J-pop group where she's, very a little bit more on the innocent side. It's
mm,
because I look back and you see this a lot, particularly with female artists. The young
mm.
female artist who builds a brand for herself as like this young up and coming singer, and then it works like clockwork where a lot of them, they start to explore their sexuality a little bit
Yep.
more, and how the toll that takes on her as a character.
Hmm.
I feel like something like this should be standard viewing for a lot of people out there who are looking to get into fame. And like this lends itself to potentially like a remake in the digital and social media and
Yeah.
the
Oh my God.
influencer
It
age, um
would be
where
insane.
it would be insane, but the other problem with this is that the stalker would be digital, and that is even worse than that. And that's kind of something that is like partially explored with this, because with with this website, got this awful looking
Yeah.
website that just it's pretty much like a gossip site. And it's made by like this one person, and it's just she cannot get it out of her head. And this is where how we as people who make content and are putting it out there for the world,
Yep.
it's true what they say, like you drown out like all like any of like the negative comments. And granted, like it's not like I get negative comments on like the regular or anything like that, but still, like it's true what they say. Like don't read the comments, don't
I get some
read
weird
any of the,
shit.
yeah, don't read any of that stuff. And like for somebody like me who suffers from anxiety, it's like no 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 no. I don't need that part of this in my life because I enjoy doing this too much, and
Mhm.
just this one is going to stick with me for a long time. So thanks, Shane. I appreciate it. I wanted to pick a happy-go-lucky Christmas movie, which turns out it's not really a happy-go-lucky Christmas movie, but
And then I doubled down and made this dark.
you made this super dark and uncomfortable. But you know what? I'm also glad that I watched it. It's one that I it's weird because there were times where I was watching this around my kids and I was like, "Oh, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. I can't watch this in front of them." And I have two girls as well. And
Yeah. Mm.
that's this
Um,
yeah,
if anybody picks Inception for this podcast, I'm picking Paprika. Be warned. Um, but yes, this is
challenge.
a dark, harrowing, very intense thriller that also has some strong influence
Mhm,
on specific films and filmmakers, and like you can feel those kinds of things for sure.
mhm.
But that's a double dose of Satoshi Kon here on the Wasteland Retrospective. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and all the holidays out there. Because Perfect Blue is the perfect movie to watch with your family for the holidays. No, don't do that. I was lying. That was a joke. Please
Mhm,
don't do that.
mhm.
But Mike, thank you as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
You're welcome.
I
Yeah.
think what you meant to say was thank you.
No. No, I appreciate you having me on, and I always look forward to talking movies with you. So really appreciate you having me on and appreciate everything you do for the network.
Yes, we are a week out of Thanksgiving, but we still have some thanks to give. And I thank Mike and the SPM crew for letting me, feeding my obsession with making more and more podcasts. Because there you go. Um, which thank you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite go-to anime? And what are your favorite go-to films for the holiday season? And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We have a lot of great content here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network, including my 5 movie podcasts and all of Mike's shows, whether we're talking about TV, sports, family movie night. We got physical media, we got comics, we got music. We even have just chilling and talking about life and movies with Luke, which
Mhm.
apparently my wife Jess's episode's killing it.
Yes,
So
it is. She is doing very well.
Jess is an all-star. But
Mhm.
if you like our logo, make sure to check out HiFlyer Creative. They do some great work, and if you are in need, check them out. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.